Welcome back, everybody. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are back with the first official Man United News Roundup of silly season. I guess I keep forgetting silly season has pretty much well and truly begun. We've had a lot of craziness going on, a lot of silly rumors, but that's why we call it silly season. So we are back this morning to discuss some of the latest and greatest United news. Not just transfer news, but just club-related news as well. Lots to discuss today. Lots I'd love to get your opinion on. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. We're going to dive right in without too much delay. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on the road to 3K. Every little bit helps. Takes 2 seconds to subscribe, completely free, and it does us a world of good, grows the community, gets you guys closer to all the fun perks. Go check out memberships as well if you want to get even more involved in the community, because I think everyone's always looking for ways to get more involved, right? You get a say in the content with the memberships as well. That's why I love to do them. Go check out the UVE store as well. Loads of one-of-a-kind designs out there, t-shirts, hoodies, women's items as well. Tons of stuff, not expensive. The club doesn't get the money. The Glazers don't get the money. You get some sick gear that is one of a kind. So go check all that out. Starting first and foremost, let's dive into this news. All right, let's get into the news after that fun little intro. So we got a little bit of a, I guess you can call it a rumor or some random kind of off the cuff comment that United's aim next season is to finish top 6. They would look at that as, and like, I'm thinking like a trophy was the rumor, but I don't like, people are raging about this right now. I watched a channel yesterday. I'm not going to say who, but they kind of threw it out there like it was this fact, like, oh, now we're targeting top 6. And then like, that was what they're basing their whole opinion and their whole conversation, their whole like thought stream was based around this rumor, which that bugs me. Like a lot of news, I've seen other channels mention stuff like this, and then they take these rumors, these random things, and then they go off on rants about it like it's 100% true. Like I don't know, that's such a turnoff for me. I think that was a big part of why I wanted to do my own thing, because I don't like that. Like I saw it so much with when Pogba was here. There'd be like a rumor, and then the whole stream for literally an hour would just be bashing someone based on a rumor, and I can't get down with that. Now I know it sounds arrogant, it sounds like elitist. I'm not trying. I felt like this long before I even had a channel. Like I've stopped watching other channels because of this sometimes. And it's just a preference. Like I get it, but I'm like, and we can talk about rumors and reports. We talk about them, but if you notice, a lot of what I say is always got the caveat of if this is true, this is what someone has said. Like, because it just feels weird to me. It feels a bit middle school, but this is why I encourage everyone to look at the source of these rumors. Like, I don't even mention some rumors that other people, and that's probably like, admittedly, I'm probably boring and I'm probably not getting as many subscribers, which is fine. But if it's coming from certain sources, I don't even bother. But again, look at the source. And in the case of this whole top 6 thing, you guessed it. Like, do I even need to tell you, who the source is going to be? It's a good old Samuel Butthurst. That's the source. So Box says name names. Yeah, I don't bash you. Like, you'll never hear me bash other channels or anything. That's just not my vibe. But like, everybody's got a preference. The same with music or movies. Like, I don't listen to some music just because it's just not my thing. It is what it is. But I get that they've got their own thing, and I'm not gonna begrudge channels that are, hundreds of thousands of subscribers strong. Clearly they're doing something right. No more power to them. Box says you're up depressing times, dude. Yeah, it's hard out here to be a United supporter, let me tell you. But I just top 6. But on the rumor, on the report, like, since the thought is thrown out there, what would be your target next season? Does that change depending on or not we win the Europa League? Does it change? Are you kind of reserving judgment till after the transfer window? That's usually how most people do it, right? Maybe we see how we do in the transfer window and that kind of length. But I guess should that change your expectation? The expectation should be this, and you need to work in the transfer window to reach that goal. It's a very delicate conversation to have. But if I had to ask you right now, based on what you've seen this season and what's been going on, what would you say you expect to see next season? Rob says, I've watched Samuel's show. I'm in the minority. Who's Samuel? Is that Sam? Is that you talking about United People's TV. So yeah, what would top six, would that be acceptable to you? Top six in a trophy? And we've kind of, if we lift the Europa League, we're kind of going on a very steady incline. We were at Ten Hag's first season, we had third in the Carabao Cup, and then last season obviously we went eighth, but we had FA Cup. We also had that FA Cup final in this first season too. Now we're in the Europa League final, undefeated in Europa League. Is that kind of an upward trajectory? Are there two lines where it's like trophies are this way, but then league is like boo, boo, is like it's down, you can't even see it, it's off camera now? Like, is that how this works? Math, that's why I don't like math. But yeah, let me know what your expectation would be. Would top six be acceptable, or is that enough to say Amorim out? Maybe what if top six and like another trophy, even if it's kind of maybe a step back in the FA Cup realm or something? Let me know your thoughts. Samuel Butthurt. Yeah. Does he has a show? I didn't know he had a show. Interesting. Who gives that guy a microphone? Or is it like a podcast or something? Interesting. So yeah, you guys let me know. Get your thoughts as we move along here. Top six, good, bad, yay, nay. Let me know. So got obviously a big talk right now is the season and some of what Amorim has said recently following that West Ham defeat on the weekend, in terms of if things don't look like they're getting any better, maybe it's time to give someone else this spot. Talked a lot about mentality in the squad right now, poor culture at the club, or lack of urgency on the pitch. They need to be brave and bold in the summer, all this stuff. And so that's led to a lot of people sort of speculating on Amorim's job. I've already seen people that want him sacked. I've already seen people that hope we lose next week, the final, so he would get sacked. So we saw this last season with Ten Hag as well. It's the same shit, different year, which is also why if you zoom out a little bit and look at the fact that we've been doing this for years and the media has been doing this for years, this is why I'm like, this always expected at the end of the season. But according to David Ornstein, changing the coach is the last thing on Man United's agenda right now. He says that United's priority is to provide Ruben Amorim with players who will allow him to play the style he wants to implement. So it sounds like he will likely be backed in the summer. I got time for Ornstein. I don't have time for Samuel Butthurst. Jamie Jackson has added to this that he claims that United intend to keep Amorim as head coach next season, even if we lose the Europa League final to Spurs. Reportedly, the hierarchy feel Amorim deserves a summer to improve the squad and sign players better suited to his tactics. So again, kind of the party line here, trying to build for that system, trying to assemble players that can do it. And I don't think this is going to necessarily, and we've talked about this before, we talked about this yesterday in the match reaction. I don't think this is just limited to like, I need a wing back, or I need these 10s that can play wide, or I need a 9 that can play in the channels, or I need ball playing defenders. I don't think it's only limited to that sort of profile and those characteristics. Like I spoke about yesterday, and Amorim has mentioned it a lot recently, urgency, mentality, this aggression, this fight. Like, we need players with strong mentality. We need players who take the initiative. We need leaders, whether they wear the armband or not. We need players who have physicality, who can dig deep against Premier League opposition, who can dominate European opposition with energy, stamina, fight. We need players that, if you get players like that, it doesn't matter what system you drop any player like that into a system, and they're going to do just fine, because that's what the hard work is going to elevate. It's going to trump any of that technical skill. Bandomac, big up. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Good to see you again. And so it's hard, right? What are you guys thinking on that? Is there any sort of like ultimatum there? You like, win this or you're sacked, or are you willing to give him? He hasn't had a preseason, Amorim. He hasn't really had a proper transfer window. He had January, and we all know what happens in January. We made 3 signings, one of whom is still at Cerro Porteño, and Diego Leon won't join till the summer, and he just turned 18. The other 2 are 18-year-old Aiden Heaven and 20-year-old Patrick Dorgu. And so, yes, we did need someone to play that left side. And Dorgu has got the fight, got the energy. He's got a little bit of polishing to do, and he's still very young. He's literally Garnacho's age. So I think we forget about that sometimes. But does the summer, like, is one summer enough for you to demand to see more from Amorim, and or else he needs to go? Would you give him another summer after that? It's difficult. Do you agree with some of the things that's been reported? Should Amorim be doing better with the squad? I'd reiterate again, like what I said yesterday. Amorim talks about culture, mentality, aggression. I think, like I said, if you prioritize those characteristics in the summer, I think you're going to be much better off in terms of overall in the squad right now. So, what we got here, Danny? Big up, my guy. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We're just chatting a little bit about the news that Ornstein and Jackson say that Amorim is going to be backed. Whether or not he wins the Europa League, he'll still be here. They'll still back him in the summer. They'll still give him some players for the squad. Rasta, pick up, man. Good to see you again. Hope you are doing well. Rasta Stock says, anybody saying they want the manager out, they're part of the problem. I'd rather have the ownership out. Yeah, no, you both. Hence the green and gold today. Yeah, it's so funny. Like I mentioned yesterday, Rasta, that I've seen people online that literally want us to lose this final next week because they want Amorim gone. That kind of mentality is so weird to me. Rob says Amorim has plenty of time, just whether he gets the proper backing, and that's out of his hands. Yeah, remember, like, it's no longer a situation at United where managers have as much say in this. Ten Hag wanted it, and then it was. See, a lot of people think that Ten Hag was like punished or something. Like all the rumors, all the narrative was he got his transfer say so taken. That wasn't the way it was. Ten Hag came in, he wanted more, so he went above baseline. Ineos came in with their structure and they brought it back down to where it's supposed to be. Long gone are the days where the manager gets the say over literally everything. Nowadays, you have the director of footballs, you have the whole structure behind it. And that's what we're doing. So, and that's why I question like the Dorgu transfer. I'm not questioning him as a player. I'm not saying Amorim didn't say it was okay. He didn't give his approval, but we were linked to Dorgu long before Amorim even arrived. We were people going on about like Ugarte, for instance, on another channel. Like Ugarte was a Ten Hag signed for a deeper kind of more holding role in a 4-2-3-1, not one of the midfields in this pivot that we're playing under Amorim that requires a bit more on the ball work. Very, very different. So it's interesting when you start breaking it down a little bit. Rasta does not want to lap. Nobody ... Literally nobody ... Rasta, I don't want to lap. Nowhere near my team. I'd rather take Rayan Chegi as a Reese Claus. Yeah, I mean, very different profiles, right? Delap's obviously a 9. And I think Delap would be for me another Højlund, young, not quite there yet, not quite polished, can't be the guy you rely on. The question is, would he and Højlund be enough to kind of make up for like one good striker in like the aggregate? I don't know. I really don't know what the plan is for strikers. We're going to talk a little bit about that shortly, but big up, man. Yeah, I do love Turkey. Very different player to Liam Delap, but I do like Turkey a lot. So, moving on. So, talking about Amorim. So, obviously, our league form in the record right now, where we are on the table, it's been just abysmal, just unforgettable, an absolute disgrace. An argument can be made, yeah, all things being equal, that it's also sackable. No matter what club you're at, really, that's not a good look. Unless you're the newly promoted side, then it's like bunnies and flowers. You'd get an open top bus parade if you're like Ipswich and you got 17th. But I get that that's also why it's a major factor right now, and why I think a lot of people are saying we don't deserve Champions League next season. Arsene Wenger talked about it. I've seen other channels say like, no, we don't deserve it. Look at where we're on the form. Well, granted, they're two separate competitions. Your league form should have nothing to do with, whether or not you deserve something in Champions League or Europa League. It doesn't. They're two. You have to make that distinction right there. Forget about that. I get why some United fans don't even want Champions League. I think a lot of people think that we're just going to be embarrassed. And we very well could be. I mean, we've embarrassed in the league. We're undefeated in Europa League. We could very easily be embarrassed in Champions League. We have very little quality in the squad, too. So navigating a very difficult competition like the Champions League now with more fixtures involved, and the league and domestic cups as well, we're already going to be losing a lot of players, and we like that leaves us very threadbare, and we don't have a lot of money to strengthen. It's going to be hard to prioritize and then manage all that right now. It's a big ask, but where we are, it is what it is. What I don't get though is the people again not wanting to win the Europa League because they want Amorim sacked. It's so weird to me. I feel like sometimes I feel like when it comes to the Europa League and stuff, I feel like the only fan, because I haven't heard anybody else say this, but I feel like the only United fan who's looking at it for what it is. It's a freaking trophy at the end of what really has been a stellar Europa League campaign, where we are the only undefeated side. I know it makes me seem like I'm like putting my head in the sand. I'm looking at the Europa League in and of itself, regardless of the league form. You guys know my thoughts on the league. I'm very, very critical of the players, of Amorim, of all of that. But looking at the Europa League for what it is, it's a trophy. It's a European trophy. We've won it in the past. It's like there are other Premier League sides who've gotten it and not won it. Like, it's a trophy and it gets us in the Champions League. I don't get why people aren't like, they're just conveniently neglecting the fact that it is a major trophy. We can cross the bridge of how we do in Champions League next year when we get to that bridge. But right now, I'm focusing more on next Wednesday and lifting that trophy. We have to. There's no like not winning this. There is no option other than to win it. I'm not even going with a either or. There is no other choice. We need to win it. But like that's what I mean. Like, don't you want to win the Europa League? I don't get it. Even if you just want to be super tribal about it, even just for the salt and from the rivals and the bidders and the abus in the media, like it's worth it. That in of itself, especially Arsenal fans, that in and of itself is worth it. I would want us to lift it just for that purpose, just to sit here and watch the media get all butthurt and lemon faced about it, man. Rasta says, I'm speaking of Rasmus Højlund. He has to go. I can't anymore. I think I'm slowly kind of creeping over to that side. If we don't get a striker this summer and we only have Højlund, I have zero hope. I really, he's just not there. Whether he can be, whether he's like another late bloomer, like we've seen from others, even Gyökeres was a late bloomer, Vardy late bloomer, and it hasn't been fair, right, to make Højlund to put all that weight on his shoulders for such a young player. Remember, we got him when he was 20, but at the same time, he's regressed in a lot of ways, or at least I would say he's not developed in a lot of ways. But you can't deny that he has improved a little bit in the last couple of weeks in his hold up and his link up play. But I need him to do more in that in and around the box. That's what you need to do. Rob says defeat is not an option. It's a good competition and a trophy. Yeah, it's a legit competition, and I think that and we should take it seriously. Amorim should take it seriously. Clearly, Ange is taking it seriously. He rested everybody the other day. I would like to see a fully rested side. Maybe bring out some of your starter players for like the last 20 minutes or so and just pray they don't get injured. But on this weekend against Chelsea, or Friday, Danny says Rasmus is terrible. Can't pack him anymore. Oh, boy. Rasta says, last time I checked, you're supposed to compete in all competitions. You're in to lift the trophy. Yeah, you're supposed to. I think that we want to sprinkle in a little bit of context that sometimes you just don't have the squads to do so. And you do need to try to manage that. But that's part of managing. I think people forget that when it comes to football managers, manager is also a verb. You got to do stuff. And some of that stuff is trying to manage these minutes and rotate. It's just hard right now because we haven't had the squad. Like, we've been injured. We're weaker than we were when we started the season. We let 3 players go in January alone. And so it's difficult. It is very, very difficult. These players are being run into the ground because we just don't have anybody else. We just keep picking up injuries. And so it's hard because, right, I mean, and Amorim alluded to some of this yesterday when we were talking in terms of prioritizing the Europa League and stuff. And he says, like, we're still going to challenge in the league. We can't have this mentality that the league is done. So why bother? We only show up for Europe. He literally criticized that mentality and that kind of culture that can easily step in. He said there are bigger things than this. He says, even if we win the final, that's not like success. There are more things we got to take care of. That's not the most important thing right now. It is for a lot of fans, but his job is to look at the bigger picture at the same time. And I get it. Brendan says, welcome, Brendan says, resting players can be a bad move. Yeah, resting them for the entire match can be bad. I was a little frustrated with how many minutes some of these guys like Bruno and whatnot got on the weekend against West Ham. I'd like to see a bit of rotation now. There's a difference between resting and rotation. I don't think a lot of these players that like started, like the players that you're going to look to on Wednesday, for instance, I don't think they need to start against Chelsea. I'd like to see them maybe come on a little bit later, get some minutes, maybe let them train a little bit more on the weekend. But it's hard, and every player is different. Some of these players were already in the red zone for kind of injury risk. Some of these players can play no matter what. I don't want to see what happened to Euro happen to someone like Bruno, because or Ahmad again, because that's just gonna kill us. It's an unnecessary risk. And yes, you roll the dice. You never know. You can't really plan for that. But again, it's just you don't have to worry about it if you don't take the risk, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So Rob says Arteta wouldn't swap Europa for his 2 community shields. Arteta's a bit of an idiot. I saw he said something. I've not even looked at my phone yet at all today. I've got text messages and everybody. Well, how about that? Sorry, a little bit of a detour. Just check my text messages. Justin and his family have just welcomed a new addition. Look at that, baby Gabriel. Well, congratulations, Justin. Everybody say big up, Justin. Speaking of, that's awesome, Justin. Well, it's good. Congratulations, buddy. I haven't even looked at my phone yet, like all morning, man. I just had to real quick prep and work out and just been handling dog stuff. But that's awesome, man. Congratulations, baby Gabriel. Well, look at that. I'll give you a call a little later on, but big up, Justin. Congratulations. Tell Lauren I said congratulations. And wow, that's awesome. Rasta says exactly. And I remember when he said in his press conference he has 3 trophies. Yeah, Arteta is just full of it. When he came out the other day after they got knocked out of the Champions League and said that they were the best team in the competition, I literally spit out my drink. The dude is just, whether he means it or not, the dude is just an idiot. Ross says call the charity to the trophy. Yeah, right. Dude, yes, man. Congratulations, Justin. Big up, man. Baby Gabriel, look at that. Everybody showering him with love, as we should. You guys are outnumbered now, though. It's 3-2. Unless you count Honey, although she's going to go whoever gives her a treat. But that's awesome, man. Can't wait to meet the little guy. We'll have to get him a little onesie. Should we get him a United onesie? Dude, I can add a United versus Everybody onesie to the UVE store, and we can get you one. I will do that for sure. But yes, big up Justin and Lauren and their family. They are just growing and growing, and that's what we like to see. So big up. Moving on. So again, I do want to lift the Europa League trophy because I do want the salt from the rivals, especially the Arsenal fans. I will be fully tuned into Rio's podcast the following day if we do win, to see Joel and Steve, because I can't wait to see Steve just absolutely hammer Joel. Joel's out here walking around with them sunglasses, a cigar, and a little mini Champions League trophy like it was a foregone conclusion. But Justin says Uncle Sean can run interference and absolutely add a onesie. Dude, Uncle Sean has limits, though, because Uncle Sean has gone his entire life without changing a single diaper, and that record will go with me to the grave. It'll literally go on my headstone when I die. He never changed the diaper. Boom. That's how we roll. But, hope everybody's doing well, though, man. Hope everybody's healthy and good. And big up Lauren. What a legend. Not all heroes wear capes, right? So let's talk about the big what if in the room, though, as we're talking about Europa League. What if we don't win the Europa League? Do your feelings change on Amorim, on Summer, on some of these players? Are your feelings moving forward, are they hinging upon whether or not we beat Spurs and lift that trophy next week? Yes, it's next week. It's literally just over a week away, which is insane. European football next season, no matter what it is, in this case, it would only be Champions League or nothing for us, but that does mean more money. 8 fixtures, 4 of which are at home. That's a lot more revenue. You get a little bit of the piece of the pie from the away fixtures as well. But in terms of like summer business, I don't think our summer business should be limited without Europa or without Champions League, if that makes sense. It should only be augmented if we do lift the Europa League. If that does that make sense? Like we can't go into this summer with our entire strategy being dependent on whether or not we're in Champions League next season, and the revenue cannot be like the baseline factor in this. Have a base plan for and a strategy and targets lined up, and then and I mean if we win that final next week, then you go on and you look at maybe one or two more players. You start hammering away at some of that debt. You start paying off putting it towards a new stadium. Like even if the players are like young, like an Ordonez or a Nippon or something, like Champions League football next season should only mean more things. It should not mean less things if we don't get it. Like you should already have your strategy shouldn't be hinging upon that. Like when I was with Livonia City doing sponsorships, a big part of football at that level in this country, especially is, it is a lot of hinging on like sponsorships and merchandise and ticket sales, but you have to find a way to where you're not only dependent on like sponsorships, because you have to be sustainable if you don't get them. It's a big part of why Livonia were struggling. They didn't have the cash, and without the sponsorship influx that I worked hard to help bring in, it struggled. And so that's just part of it. You can't be only hinging upon that kind of stuff. Oh, Justin says we need to win Europa League. Amorim needs to change his win percentage, dude. They have our number this year. We've had 2 losses and a draw against them this season. You'd have to think maybe kind of like flipping a coin. Yes, it's 50-50, but over time that 50-50 actually doesn't stay 50-50. Maybe law of probability states maybe we'll get something. Maybe this is our time. We can't go like 0 for 4 against them. That's just not cool. Remember, guys, squeeze the lemons. I don't know what that means. Danny says, I never thought we would reach the final, to be honest, but losing to Spurs, I would be depressed all summer. Yeah, that would be rough, man. I would hate to be the reason Spurs get a trophy. I would hate to lose to them in order for that to happen. I would love to beat them. I'd love to see Ange get sacked if we do beat them. I am that petty and big of savage. But and then yes, and Rasta, congratulations to Justin. Yeah, big up. Justin says same. I'd be in shambles if we lose the Spurs in a final, and we can't we can't do that. We literally can't. That to me, just losing the Spurs in general is just not okay. But we'd have to do better. Like Ahmad's back. We left it too late in the cup when we played them in the League Cup. We did manage to kind of start to mount a comeback, and you thought maybe with a few more minutes we might have done something more. But we have to start strong. Like recently, we've been starting so poor these matches. We've been switched off. We've been slow to everything. We've let these teams just dominate us physically for the first like 20, 25 minutes. And then on the opposite end of the pitch, right, we can work the ball. We have really good possession, but we're just too hesitant or just not clinical. And then just like West Ham, just like we've seen time and time again, simple errors, simple individual errors, simple switching off, simple ball watching, not guarding, not watching the back post, any of that, or just giving the ball away too easily in your own third is like, those are the kind of things that have cost us. Lack of goals on one end, and then simple errors in defense. And it's just, we have to cut those out. Yes, you can say like, oh, we'll just cut out the simple errors, but that's all dependent on the player. The more tired a player is, the lack of focus they're going to have, lack of communication. It's all compiling, and we have to, like, I hope it can click at least just for 90 minutes on Wednesday, but like, forget it, man. Rob said, Jim's already spent the Europa League prize money on a celebration barbecue at the training. Maybe if we win, he'll spring for the Angus beef instead of just the cheap Aldi stuff. Not all, yeah. That would be funny. Or maybe he'll go really hard and get some prawns or something to throw them on there, and then Keane can show up and have some sandwiches with it. Danny says, didn't think season would end this badly. I thought we'd get a win. West Ham, I didn't necessarily think. Oddly enough, out of these last couple matches, Chelsea was the one I thought we would get at least a point from. I just didn't see anything. Brentford, I thought we would win that one too. But I didn't see West Ham. It's just the way West Ham play. We struggle against these sides that play the way these teams play, and I think we're going to struggle against Chelsea too. Justin says, I'd take a draw and go to pens. We've done well on shootouts. Oh, I mean, have we though? Have we done well on shootouts? Binder had like a one-off out of his skin performance against Arsenal. He hasn't been great since. The Newcastle match was not great. He looked a little shaky too against Brentford. Um, I don't, yeah, it's just, I would say we look good in shootouts, but like I don't trust any of our attackers to actually score a goal. And I don't like taking it to shootouts because it just, there's a lot less of it that's in your control in that regard. It's not just like a lottery. It's not just chance. There is a little bit of numbers that go into these pens, but I'd rather play well, start strong, and like just be smart. It's not difficult. We over like players overcomplicate. I forget who said it, but it was like they said football is a simple game complicated by idiots. Like it's very true. There's 22 guys, one ball. Like there's not much more involved. It's just the players just have to use their brains. But um, moving on, how do you think our summer will go just in general? How many players do you think we might sign this summer? What positions do you think? Maybe not what you want necessarily, but like what do you think the club is going to be doing? But in that vein, like let's say like what you want. Like if you could only get like 5 players, who would you guys get? Like because I don't. When do we get more than like 4 or 5 players in the summer? We're not Forest. We don't do stuff like that. We're not City, and we get 4 players in January. That was crazy. The fact that they're where they are, no trophies, and they spent 200 million in January about 4 players. That's like this is why like we are the biggest club. Liverpool literally win the league, and all anyone can talk about is United right now, and they're all complaining about Europa League and getting Champions League. City are struggling after being treble winners a couple years ago, and they spent 200 million in January, and no one cares. It's just, this is where we're at, but. If you ask me right now, 5 players summer, what are we doing? I'm going Bashali, Yashari, Chirke, Gyökeres, and Frimpong. Those are the 5 that I'm going with to start right off the bat. I think we have enough young midfielders in Collier and Kone and these guys that I think we can rotate. I don't think Casemiro's going anywhere for the year. I think he'll be here until his contract runs out, and he's doing just fine recently. I would like to see maybe Ahmad moved in and out of that kind of 10 right wing back spot. So I think Frimpong is there, but Bashali's free. And since I'm saving money, I'm going for Gyökeres because Gyökeres is probably the best striker right now. So it is what it is. But we're going to stick in with Europa League for a hot second because speaking of Europa League, what do you make of these reports that we're not going to do a parade? And Danny kind of already alluded to it, that we might do a barbecue instead. Like, do you care about an open bus parade if we win the Europa League? Would you feel differently if it was the league or the Champions League? Would you want a parade for that? Do you think that Ineos would still just not spring for it? Because it's not just renting the bus that is the thing, right? Or getting like T-shirts or hats made or whatever. That's not the harder part. The harder part is it takes time to coordinate, to get the approval, to do all this stuff with transportation. So you got to shut down streets, you got to coordinate with police, the government, all this stuff. It's not just a simple let's have a parade and then you go out and do it like you're having a garage sale or something. That's not the way it works. We don't even have time to organize that. This would have had to have been planned for weeks in advance because the final is next Wednesday. We have our last league fixture against Villa the fall that just a few days after that. And then we're flying off literally like there's no time. We're flying right off to do this bullshit preseason tour. I forget where it is either. I think it was in like Singapore or something. Absolute ridiculous. Rob says EFC 25 has updated players. Fredrickson has been. Yeah, I saw that. I started a new season the other day because you had to wait for the live star points to update. So I'm always have struggled. The hardest part in FC 25 is not buying players. It doesn't take much to buy. The hardest part is getting people to buy the players you don't want anymore, like Rashford and Sancho, Dallo, Anthony. It's like the whole summer go by and I'll barely get any offers for some of these players. So Ratcliffe out. Welcome to the channel. He seems like you're in good company. That's a pretty badass avatar. Back to manager. I blame Ineos. Strong words. If Amorim stayed with Sporting, he would have had his 3rd title. Yeah. You guys know I did not like the ultimatum that Ineos gave him. Come now or you're not coming to United. I don't like that. I don't like that as a thing. Like, I just don't appreciate that. I don't think that's a good way to start a whole relationship. In this case, manager and owner. I think that, and I totally get why Amorim didn't want to join mid-season. I totally get it. I think that he was totally justified in that because this is what he's going to have to deal with. But no, I totally get it, man. He probably would have had his third title, but I don't even know where our Sporting in the table right now. Ricardo Diaz, are you in there? Let me know. Danny says yes. Ratcliffe out. Welcome to the channel. Yes. Welcome to the channel, man. Appreciate it. Danny says that's ridiculous this preseason. You guys know how I feel about preseason tours. It is a money grab. We will make a bit of money, not a lot. To me, it's not enough to justify anything. Honestly, the money we made from the preseason tour, we probably could have been, you could have taken that and you could have kept a lot of these people in their jobs, but it is what it is. It's all part of it. We've been doing it for decades. If you ever watch the overlap or anything, guys like Keno, Skulls, they're talking about preseason tours way back in the 90s. It's part of it. I get it. Not every United fan lives in Manchester. It is a way for a lot of them to see United, live. It is what it is. I don't like it, mostly just because I hate risking fitness. This is why I don't like international friendlies mid-season. This is why I don't care about Club World Cup. This is why, to an extent, I don't want to risk certain players against Chelsea this week, or even I wouldn't have risked them against West Ham because there's priorities. I don't like unnecessary money grab stuff. This is why players and managers complain about the growth of the new Champions League and Europa League format, the potential to add more teams or more fixtures to the World Cup and stuff, because more football is not the answer for anything. We need these players cannot literally put that many miles on their legs week in, week out. But so no parade potentially. I went off on a tangent. No parade potentially. Maybe a barbecue. Is it BYOB? Is that how we're going to do it? They're just not going to spring for any drinks or anything. Everyone's got to hit up Tesco on their way in and bring their own beer. But so random. But that is some of the news with that Europa League Amorim job. Let's look at some transfer news, guys. Make sure you hit that like button for me. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are new. Go check out the UVE store as well if you want to get some sick gear without giving the club money. There's actually a lot of green and gold stuff in the UVE store. It's not a jersey. It's one of a kind designs that you can get. I think Danny got one. Danny, did you get yours yet? I think I have one coming today. I ordered a sample of one of the designs I put out recently, so I'll let you guys see that when I get it, and you guys can see what you think. They're all on the site. You can see them all. But so, starting with a bit of transfer news coming from someone I've never heard of. So this this journal apparently is a contributor for Goal.com. Goal can be a bit hit or miss, but this guy's name is Valentin Furlan. But he reports that the agreed transfer fee for Mateusz Cunha to join United will be £62.5 million plus a further $5 million in add-ons. And he adds, despite a late approach from Arsenal, a verbal agreement with United is in its final steps. I don't get this rumor. I really don't get it. Because his release clause is $62.5 million. So why is there a reported add-on when you're paying the release clause? There's no add-ons required unless it's one of those situations where we pay a little bit more, or maybe we pay a little less and they've kind of worked with us to structure it, because apparently that's a thing now that more clubs are being open to, is structuring the release clause. It used to be you had to pay it all at once. But maybe if there's a thing we'll let you break this down if we throw in another $5 million. So maybe that's a thing. But that's kind of why I've taken it with a grain of salt. There's nothing really new here other than the add-ons, which again, I just don't get when there's a release clause. So the only reason I feel like you would have that is if their Wolves are working with us a little bit more. Danny says not today. No, today or tomorrow. Yeah, I think mine should be today. But we'll see. Danny said, not a bad deal. They paid $50 million for him too. Yeah, I mean, they're going to get a little bit of money for him, and we're getting him kind of in his prime. He's obviously in great form right now. I really like Cunha. I worry about some of the attitude issues that we've seen from him this year, but some managers think that, they can be the one to work with a player on that. Some players, sometimes it is a stress of the situation that causes. Well, we're not doing great, although, they rolled over us like we pretty much let everyone. West Ham aren't doing great either, and we let them roll over us too. We're just a free hit right now for everybody. It's actually ridiculous. And Danny agrees, probably because of the structure and the payments. Yeah, a little bit of, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours going on. People do that kind of stuff all the time. Remember those reports we got the other week that allegedly Real Madrid were trying to get us. Apparently, they really want Alvaro Fernandez, who we sold, but the report was that they wanted us to exercise our buyback and then sell him to them so they wouldn't have to pay what Benfica want. Clubs do this kind of stuff all the time. I'm not saying that was 100% true. I'm just saying that's an example of the kind of things that clubs are willing to do for each other. Rob says, is Czech Republic striker Patrick Schick still an option? Yeah, we were linked to them a couple of weeks ago, weren't we? I liked him. He had an excellent, I can't remember if it was I think it was the World Cup a couple of years ago. It could have been the Euros, but he had an excellent international tournament. I really like Patrick Schick. He's the question again, it's all about the system that we play and how Amorim wants his strikers to play. Is Patrick Schick is a bigger guy? Is he a target man? Is he a hold up man? Is he running in these channels? Is he dropping deep to contribute to some of the build up? And then he's kind of working off the shoulder. It all depends on the system, and then again, it depends on how the manager wants a player to play in that system. So I think that Amorim is a little bit more modern in terms of it is a little bit more structured to an extent where at times I think it can be interpreted as being a little bit rigid, his tactics and his structure and his formation and whatnot. I don't think it's in like Pep territory where it's like, no, when this happens, you stand here on this 1 square inch of turf and that's what you do. I don't think it's got that part, but I like Schick a lot. He's obviously, he would be one because I think he's 28, 29. So that to me is like, if this were 2 years ago and it was the old regime, I would probably say, yeah, we're definitely going to be going for someone like that. But we'll see. 28, 29 is not the same as it used to be even 5-10 years ago, right? Players can play for quite a while. Look at Bruno. Look at someone like Lewandowski. Look at Ronaldo. I mean, these guys are freaks. So we'll see. Do you guys like Schick? Rob, are you a fan? We do need help, right? We do need someone who's clinical. I need a striker who just, I'm not saying you have to put away every single chance you get because it's not going to happen. Even top strikers have like a 30 some odd % conversion rate. Like 1 in 3 is very good. That's elite level striking conversion rate. But I need someone who doesn't need 20 chances to put away a chance. I need someone who's going to be where you need them to be. It was said the other day, I forget what channel it was. It might have been Rio talking about it, but like he had another good little insight on Højlund and looking at it more from the perspective of Højlund's teammates, is because Højlund is still so young and his movement in the box is just so inconsistent. Like he's been so impatient and he's been so rushed and he's been so like forcing everything. Like they never know where he's going to be. And so maybe they're hesitant to put a ball into the box because, and Amorim's kind of said this in the past too, where like in one play, Højlund will do something and he won't get the ball, but in the next play, he'll do something different rather than doing that same run. And that is where people are kind of not linking up in that final phase of attack. Højlund just needs to stick with it, be patient. You saw when he got that goal the other day against Bilbao, like patient. You don't need to do so much movement in the box. You can, if it looks like the situation is maybe your teammate has a better opportunity, then you make a run and pull the defender away. That's something that's really undervalued in strikers, I think. But Højlund needs to just slow down a little bit. That goal against Bilbao was a perfect example of that. Just let the play come to you. Be in a good position and things will happen. But I think a lot of us are kind of done. So Rob says maybe an option to bring him in with the lap. Amorim seems to want someone who can head the ball. I mean, Maguire can get a head on it, but most of the time, Maguire's heading just goes off into the stands. Rob says Amorim needs to introduce a fine system for Rasmus. Every time he falls down, he gets fined. I don't know. I think people are pretty much done with it. He's not even been here 2 years, Højlund. It's been a crazy ride, but so Cunha 62.5, maybe that 5 million if this is true. Like I was saying, like Danny was saying, maybe that's because they're willing to work with us on the structure, not making us pay all that release clause up front. Who knows? Moving on. So this is coming from Alfredo Padulla. He claims that new contacts have taken place between Atalanta and Manchester United for midfielder Ederson. He reports that United are going to have to pay more than 50 million euros, which is 42 million pounds. I think it was reported in the summer that we offered like 42 million pounds. So sounds like we're going to have to up that offer if we want to get something done. I would definitely go like 37 mil with like maybe 8 million in add-ons, get that up to like 45, 46 million and see what we can do from there. 42 million, in my opinion, is not a bad price for a player of his age, of his quality, of his experience. I think Ederson's a very good midfielder. Now, you could get someone like Yashari or like a Hackney for, or maybe not Warden. Warden's going to be twice that, but someone like Yashari or a Hackney, I think you could be got for cheaper than that. And I think that they are very good. Ederson's going to be 26 in the summer. So he's kind of in that leadership, that experience role that some of us think could be good to balance out some of the youth. I think he does suit this system the way he does play. He's able to drop deep, but if you look at his progression, he's got very good ball progression numbers. If you look at like his progressive passes, his pass completion, his take-ons, all that stuff is well above average. He wins a lot of his aerial duels. He creates a lot of shots. He's in the top 25 percentile for shot creating actions. If you look at his heat map, it's literally just inside his own half and just inside the opposition half. So kind of where you want this midfielders in this system to work. So I do think he suits the system. The question here is going to be price. 5 goals, 1 assist in all comps from him this year midfield. 7 goals, 1 assist last year. So right around the same. He still has time. He could equal that if he wanted to. Again, I think if we're interested, I don't think that we need a ton. We could definitely work something out. And his wages aren't bad too. I think that's a big fit. He's only on like just under 50K a week right now. You might have to double that, but I think that the price, the overall transfer fee is hard. Now, the question again is always, could you get someone just as good or potentially better for less? Because is the problem, because he's got a few years left on his contract, Ederson. So that's why it's going to cost a little more. If this were a year from now, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Danny says, I like him, but is he the profile we'll need? Probably prefer Yashari, Stiller. Yeah. I think with me, the biggest thing he has is the age and experience. I think that is a good balance, but I like Yashari a lot. I think Yashari's better. Yashari isn't as box to box, but I think that could be more of the way Brugge play him. I think they trust him more to kind of get on the ball in those deeper areas. So I think he sits a little deeper than I'd like him. I like to see Yashari get forward a little bit more because I think he has it in him. Because he's created so many chances when he has gotten forward, when he has picked a really good pass, when he has carried the ball. I've seen him literally take that ball from his own half, almost just outside his own box, and carry it all the way up to the opposition box and put a great cross in. Yashari is very, very good. You guys have seen me heard me say that many times, but I do like Ederson as well. Hackney is also another one. There's tons of good midfielders out there right now. It's just you can get Yashari and Hackney for about this, maybe a little bit more than what you're going to pay for Ederson. Is my point. Buck says we probably need Ederson and Yashari. Yeah, we definitely need some help. Eriksen's going to be gone. Casemiro can suit certain opposition on a given day. I don't think Casemiro is the guy that you're just going to plug in every single match, and he's going to, because he doesn't have the legs. And if it's against certain opposition, you're going to have someone with the legs, and that's where maybe someone like an Ederson or Yashari comes into play. Hackney is more like Casemiro. He's not super quick, but he does a really good job of just being where he needs to be. He's got a really good pass on him, and he does make a lot of really good late runs, Hackney. So it depends on what Amorim wants. So Rob says we need a right wing back. Ahmad is too small and much better concentrating on the attack. Yeah, he was kind of caught sleeping a little bit against West Ham, especially those couple screenshots I showed you from that first goal where Wan-Bissaka, like Ahmad was closest to him, but he still was like 5, 6, 7 yards away. Nobody got within like 5 yards of Wan-Bissaka during that entire movement where he was able just to pick out Kudus, and Ahmad was right there. That should be Ahmad's man right there. So this is why, like, I wonder where Ahmad's best position is going to be in this system, because the 10s really at times it can be like a 3-4-2-1 where they are more 10s, they are more central, but at times they need to be more like a 3-4-3 where they do get wide. We've seen Ahmad do that. We've seen Garnacho do that. Xerxes done that as well when he's played there. And I think I like Ahmad in that role. At Sunderland, he played in the 10 pretty much the whole season. He was very good in that 10 role. So I think I trust Ahmad to play in those central role more than I would trust someone else. But I think he has done just as good in the wide role too. So it's hard. We've been linked to a lot of those wide midfielders even if they're young. I would have loved to seen us go for Frimpong, but it is what it is. Buck says, if we brought in Gyökeres, Delap, Mbeumo, Cunha, Cherki, how much are we looking at? Yeah, bro, you're looking at like 120 million just between Cunha and Mbeumo alone. Cherki is another 25 million, so looking at 145. Delap, you're looking at what, 30 million, so 155. Gyökeres, yeah, you're definitely going to be spending a little bit, probably not 250, but definitely over 200 just for those players. I mean, they're all good players. That's a big ass. That's a big shopping list you got there. You are shopping in the expensive stores. Boxes. If we offloaded Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, Xerxes, you're getting rid of Xerxes. Interesting. Hoyland, that would bring in 170 million. Maybe. So Rashford, we'll be looking at 40, 45, depending on where he goes. Anthony, probably around the same, the way he's been playing. So that's looking at 90 million. Sancho, we're probably, get 20, 25 million, depending on if Chelsea want to give him back. So you are looking a little over 100. Xerxes, I mean, probably not going to make much money on Xerxes because he's injured. So I think people are going to want to see how he does when he comes back. So, yeah, man. No, I hear you. It's hard math, right? You guys saw it when I did my summer rebuild video. I didn't have to spend a lot of money. It was like 120, 130 million. I got like, 6 players, including guys like Frimpong and whatnot. Rob says, more energy and physicality needed in the team, says Rob. A lot leaving in the summer, so we need numbers. Yeah, we're going to be losing a lot of players. We lost a lot of players in January already. Like I said already, we really need to work on that mentality, that physicality, that energy, that stamina, because that's going to be a big difference in the league. We're one of the weakest teams when it comes to that in the league. We get absolutely bullied by everybody that rocks up. It doesn't matter. Ipswich to Liverpool to Newcastle to Brighton, we get bullied because our players just are not strong. They don't not up here, and then physically we're just weak. So TalkSport, sticking with that area of the pitch, where we're talking about Ahmad and whatnot. TalkSport claims that United have now also held talks with Bournemouth attacker Antoine Semenyo. We've spoken about Semenyo a couple times on the channel. Mixed opinions. You guys have some mixed opinions on Semenyo. I haven't watched enough of Bournemouth to say definitively. I know that he's had some injuries. I feel like this Semenyo, I think his finishing is not great either from what I've looked at, but you guys might watch more Bournemouth than I have. 11 goals and 6 assists in all comps isn't bad necessarily. It's not great, but it's not horrible. His take-ons are good, dribbles, his touches in the opposition area. He gets forward, he gets the ball himself. Very similar to Ahmad, but his off-the-ball numbers too, Semenyo, are good. Very good numbers for tackles, aerial duels. But I guess with Semenyo, for some reason I thought he was younger than he was. I don't know why I thought he was like 21, 22, but he's like 25. And I guess I would have wanted to see a little bit more consistency, a little bit better numbers over the course of a few seasons from a 25-year-old, if that makes sense. I think if you're looking at players from the league who play in that position, I think Mbeumo is probably the better option. He's just going to be probably a more expensive option. But I wonder how this kind of links factor into the Cunha deal. Are they either or? Are they backups? Are they both? Like, are we just going all out in the attack because we need goals? I mean, this is why we call it silly season. Stuff's ridiculous. Rob says we're probably still paying for Di Maria. Maybe. I think don't we still get owed money for Lukaku as well? Box is good player, but I wouldn't sign him. Yeah, I'm not. He wouldn't be top of my list. He definitely, in terms of that area of the pitch, he probably wouldn't even crack my top 5. Semenyo. Rob says Semenyo likes to shoot more than Garnacho and misses more. Well, we've got enough of that. I think we've seen our fair share of people who only have tunnel vision. Yeah. So you guys let me know. Semenyo, yay, nay, how much would he cost? Sticking with Bournemouth, though, one reported United target who looks likely to be on the move, but probably not to United, is Bournemouth center back Dean Huyson. So this is coming from Florian Plettenberg and then also Sky Sports Germany. So the report claims that Arsenal and Liverpool currently in the pole position for Dean Huyson. Decision expected soon. Real Madrid still interested. A move to Bayern probably not likely. Bayern also have to make sales. It sounds like the sign. So Bayern are struggling a bit financially. They've sacked a few managers and they've kept buying like center backs. So like remember they bought who's the guy they bought from Galatasaray, the fullback that they like never even played for the longest time. I forget his name off the top of my head. He's got dreads that we were linked with for a long time. But Bayern need to make sales apparently. That's why reportedly they're focusing on Jonathan Tah, who's available as a free agent. That one makes sense. Heisen has that release clause, that 50 million release clause, which apparently, according to the report, according to Plettenberg and Sky Germany, that release clause, again, another one, kind of like the Cunha situation, could be paid in 3 installments. So interesting stuff. I know a lot of you really, really like Heisen. I think he's really good. I think the release clause does make it difficult, but I think we just bought Aiden Heaven. We are pushing Fredrickson. Now Fredrickson is part of the first team. I don't think we're going to be buying any center backs. We got reports the other week too that we weren't maybe going to be looking at center backs as much as we were other positions. I still think someone like Bashali would be an excellent buy. Even like someone like Yarrick, or no, Yarrick's on. He signed a new contract. I think that's right. So, Bach says, I've seen some high profile channels call Højlund the worst ever United center forward. He frustrates. The criticism is very harsh. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call him the worst ever. I think people are really just neglecting the fact that we signed him when he was 20. He was our only striker, and he had a very good season when you consider all that last year. He's been crap this season. I'm not going to tiptoe around it, but he's still young. I mean, I would challenge anyone to name me a team that depends on a 20, 21-year-old striker solely as their only goal-scoring option and expects like miracles, especially when you change your manager mid-season like that. Doesn't make any sense. Now, that being said, if someone send me a big offer for him, it'd be difficult to turn down. But again, if we lose Højlund, we still need a striker that we already needed, and we'll have to replace Højlund as well. So this is where we are right now. Danny says, no to Semenyo, horrible finisher. Yeah, that's kind of what people are saying here. Box says, Højlund, 26 goals in 92, Welbeck, 29 goals in 142. Granted, Welbeck offered a lot more, linked well, etc., but also benefited from playing, learning off RVP, Rooney, Nani, Valencia, Giggs, and Scholes. Yeah, and I think the biggest reason some of these diehard United fans, I guess I don't want to call them top reds, but I think some channels I've noticed do tend to lean a little bit more towards favoring like academy players than players that we bought. I'm not saying that it's not a xenophobic thing. I think it's just an academy thing. I think that more people love when players come through the academy. That's why you've seen a lot of ex-players and stuff, ex-United players. And when they talk about Rashford, it's less the criticism and more the like pity that this happened. Like, he was one of our own. He came through the academy. We wish it would have gone differently. Where I think like if it's a player like Højlund, the criticism is very, very different. But that's just me. That's just what I'm per. Rob, I'm not gonna throw that out there because I don't want to name names and stuff. But I will comment that like, yeah, Højlund's European record is very good, but so is United. So it's very interesting. Box says, good point. I don't know what point I made, but I'm going to take it. Thank you. But do you guys like Dean Heisen? Do you think he strengthens our defense? Do you think was ever even an option for us? Evans probably leaving. Lindelof for sure leaving. That leaves us with Aiden Heaven, Fredrickson, Lisha, who probably won't be fit for a while, Maguire, Yoro, Delit, and Mazraoui. So quite a bit of defenders. At the same time, it doesn't really feel like it because I think if we got a decent offer for Maguire, I'd probably still take it. But at the same time, if we got a decent offer for Maguire, we'd have to replace Maguire because it's not like 2 center back system where you can get away with like 5 or so. We need more. We're always playing 3. So interesting stuff. One player that we look likely to miss out, we already talked about him a little bit, and that is Jeremy Frimpong. So I listed him real quick as one of my 5. But Fabrizio Romano claims that talks are advancing for Liverpool to bring Frimpong to Anfield this summer. I'm very, very bummed about this one. I think that when it comes to right wing back, right midfielders in this kind of back 3 system, I think Frimpong is literally one of the best you're going to find for that role. 2 years ago, when Bayer Leverkusen went on that amazing run, he was just absolutely world class. Obviously, the Leverkusen as a whole have dipped a little bit this season. I don't think Frimpong is any worse. He's like entering the prime years. He's an excellent, excellent player. Ahmad in that right-hand 10 spot, interchanging, overlapping with Frimpong, I think would have been a difference maker for us as a club that going into next season personally. And 35 million is an absolute steal for Frimpong. An absolute steal. To me, that's an absolute no-brainer. Boxes. I think Juve sold Housenin for the same money, brought Lloyd Kelly. In hindsight, didn't they just make that permanent too? Wasn't he on loan and they just exercised the permanent option? Rob says, we 100% need at least one experienced CB coming in because of injuries. Yeah, I can't plan on Licha being back for a while. That's why I like Bashali. He's free, plays on the left side. He's a good age, good leader. His numbers are excellent. You guys know my thoughts. Box says that Bashali free agent seems a no-brainer. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. But again, it's up to Amorim and Ineos what they decide. Danny says he's probably the best in class right wing back available for age profile. Yeah, he's just absolute. Like he's next levels. Like we'll never see someone like that at this club in that position. He's I can't even. He's so good. Danny says we don't do best in class though. Well, that is the claim, and so we're going to hold them to it in the summer. This is going to be a very, very important summer. We'll be back once this season is done and dusted. We've got all sorts of fun shows planned. We're going to be doing a rating show for the season. We'll be going through the players and kind of rating them. We'll be doing our season awards, not like United's awards. We'll be going through some interesting awards. You guys remember that from last year. And then we'll be doing, obviously, a lot of transfer stuff. But so keep that in mind. Box, yeah, you guys are having a fun little chat. So kind of like this has to do with United, but not necessarily United. It has to do with United in the sense that it's a position that some of you have said we still need to strengthen. So there are reports coming from some Spanish outlets that Real Madrid want Alexander-Arnold in their squad before the Club World Cup, the Bulk Rep Cup. There are people who literally try to get me to think Club World Cup is a legit competition just because there's so much money thrown at it. I don't care. There's Saudi clubs, Tunisian clubs, African. And no offense, like I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's not. There's like 2 or 3 big clubs in it. That's it. MLS clubs are in it. I'm surprised that they aren't like USL clubs in it. But apparently Real Madrid also want, they're looking at defensive reinforcements this summer. They should have looked at those last summer, but they want a center back. They want a left back too. So they're getting Trent Alexander-Arnold, and now they want a center back and a left back. The left back situation is what caught my eye because it's very interesting because I don't think, for some reason, Real Madrid or whoever's in charge does not rate Fran Garcia. They've been playing Mendy every chance they can over him, and Mendy is garbage. Fran Garcia can barely get a minute ahead of Mendy, which is just mind-boggling because he's so much better physically. He's so much quicker. He has so much more energy and so much more fight. I've not ever seen anything from Mendy that lets me think that he's a good left back. But the reason I brought this up was to ask, like, because some of you have said we still need a left back. Now we've got Dorgu, Amas now, who's getting more minutes. Luke Shaw's back, and he's kind of playing in and out of that role. Diego Leon will be here in the summer. So does that mean we need a left back? Would you take someone like Fran Garcia? We know, too, that Real Madrid are also looking at Alvaro, who I think would be excellent for them. But I like Fran. I've mentioned him on the channel before, but I've mentioned him a long time ago when we still had Ten Hag. I mentioned him ahead of last summer. Remember when I was looking at Luke Shaw replacements as one of my left back options. But you guys, Rob says I'm sold on Bashali since Sean profile. I'm glad that I can contribute to your transfer targets, man. I love doing the scout reports because there's so many leagues out there and so many teams and so many players that not a whole lot of people have time to watch, and that's fine. So I have time to watch them, so I'll do the dirty work. But I just like Bashar. I think he's a very good player. So Box says Inter Miami have entered the tournament because they bid the most to host it. Yeah. Yeah. Danny says Kirk Hayes or Eight Nori is best available. Yeah. Kirk Hayes is very, very. Is he going to Liverpool? Is that a thing? Liverpool are going to need to look at right backs now, but apparently Frimpong. But Eight Nori is also very, very, very good as well. Danny says too expensive for Spinios. Yeah. Bournemouth could be picked apart this summer if they're not careful. They need to be lookout, and that could be crushing for them going into next season, and for Areola if they get picked apart. If they lose Housen, if they lose even someone like Semenyo, if they lose Kirkes as well, that's going to be very hard for them, especially now that there's not really. I thought there was for a second there it almost looked like they would maybe qualify for Europe or something, but they've kind of steadily dipped here and there. Box says I see Shaw moving on, Leon needing a good solid European loan, Dorgu and Amos both staying here developing. Yeah, so maybe we do need a left back, but like, what do you do? This is more money, right? I don't count on Shaw being a part of the squad, but he is back, is what I'm saying, and he's played both left center back and left wing back at times under Amorim in these last couple weeks, and so Amorim has praised him. He's praised his quality. Obviously, Shaw is probably the best crosser we have in the side right now, but he just can't stay fit. So Rob says Shaw will break down again soon, just before the summer tour. Bach says Garcia would make sense. Are we tired of getting Real Madrid cast-offs, though? They've kind of done us a couple times a little bit. I'm not trying to mean no offense to Casemiro and Varane, but I like Garcia. I think Fran Garcia, what he does is he elevates, he raises the levels of the physical we need. Because if you ever watch Fran Garcia play, the guy just doesn't stop running. The guy is just, he's literally like the kind of physicality you look at teams like Newcastle or Liverpool come out with. That's exactly what Fran Garcia has. And I think that he would not let other people in the squad get away with not like putting in the effort. Danny says, I think he got injured on the weekend. Ugh, great. So yeah, I just saw that. Thought it'd be interesting because you guys said we might need a left back as well. Anyone on Mastantuono watch? He bagged a solid assist last night for River Plate. Drove the ball to the byline, took two defenders with him, like just completely took them out of the game. And then when he sucked them all into the byline, he just, boom, put a good delivery in the box, found a teammate, scored. So excellent, again, from Mastantuono, having an absolute stellar season. Probably going to be way too expensive for us to bring to Old Trafford, though. But I think he would be an excellent addition. The cost versus age ratio for Mastantuono to me is just, you can get Turkey for almost half of what you're probably going to end up paying for Mastantuono by the time it's all said and done. So, but I thought I would put that out there since he had a beautiful little assist last night. Danny says, yeah, we need to sign him. He's very, very good. I just want to see if we have any news here on Euro before I let you guys get going here. Don't see anything here. It looks like we got some news here, some potential rumors here saying Fenerbahce maybe want Jadon Sancho. Interesting there. That would be. I mean, I don't know if Sancho would want to go to Fenerbahce and play for Jose Mourinho. He doesn't seem like a Jose Mourinho style player. But interesting little. If Chelsea if they paid the $5 million to send Sancho back, and then we still got $25 million from that, I wouldn't say no to that, but we'll see what happens there. No news on Euro. I was really hoping to see something, but I don't see anything. So that is going to do it for me, you guys. Like biggest kind of first United News Roundup of the silly season. Not the very first of the summer, because we're going to have more to go, but getting a good head start. So really good chat today, you guys. Really good to get your thoughts on a lot of that stuff, whether it's Amorim, Europa League, all that business. So if you weren't able to catch the live, leave a thought in the comment. I will check back with you, you guys. Make sure you hit that like button for me before you hit the X button, please. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Check out the memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the channel, from everything from scouting reports to what if episode ideas. And go check out the UVE store as well. Tons of gear in there. I'll be wearing my new one the next stream you see, so you guys can check that out. But thank you, everybody. And big up to Justin again. Congratulations, Justin and Lauren, on welcoming baby Gabriel to the world. Big up. So take it easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you guys ahead of the Chelsea match for a preview, barring any breaking news. And big up yourself, man. Thank you, guys. Rob, Danny, everyone. See you later, guys.